So in this video, I'm going to show you a move that went almost 200%, but in order to really show you this, I'm going to need to adjust my rules. I mean, we're always learning, we're always tweaking, and one of the safest things I've come up with is to wait until 9:15. But I'm going to play this. 9:15 is 45 minutes into the open, and I'm on Central Standard Time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play this all the way to 9:15, and then we'll just pause it. And so we're not even there yet. I'll hover right there at 9:15. And you see something like this and you're thinking, well, I waited and I waited and I'm really being as disciplined as I can, but now I can't enter this trade. I'd be chasing. This is just too far up. So now what do? Do I just sit on my hands? Do I try to buy puts and guess the top? And so what I'm doing to tweak this, it's more of an advanced strategy, but I am looking at this and I'm saying, okay, I'm willing to actually enter a trade if I can see a few things in my actual trade here. So one that I'm looking for is in this case, three green candles in a row. That means a strong move. The second thing I'm looking for is either a Psar switch or that it is far away. And you can see over here, this is a far distance from here. The third thing I'm looking for the possibility of entering a move after the first 15 minutes is the RSI of the QQQ 100 stock. So I have those weighted and I've shared those in videos. I can share them in here too. In fact, I'll share a picture of what those looked like at this time. They were all in the upper 60s and 70s. And you're sitting here and you're feeling helpless thinking, I can't enter, they're going to pull the rug. And on this given day, they didn't. But you don't know that. You don't know when they're going to pull the rug. So here is what I'm saying. Three green candles in a row. This changed, Psar over changed, and the RSI was very, very strong. So you could have entered right here, okay? And at this point in time, those were $2.30. Those were the 295. Yeah, they were the 295 calls, and they were $2.30 at this point. And what you do is you scale out. I mean, this is actually almost a 30% move right up here. And once you've scaled out, then you actually set your stop underneath the 20 EMA. Just watch this. This is fascinating to me. I'm going to get this out of the way and we'll give ourselves some room for a move. So at this point, I've scaled out and I've made sure that I have my actual gains in, but I just have my stop just hanging out underneath the 20. If you want to be in on a possible 200 to 300% move, you have to have some resolve. And so this gets really tricky right here. Even though Psar switched, I believe it switched right there, my stop is under the 20. So you can see the Psar just switched right there, okay? Now, one of my rules is to actually start to nibble on puts when I can see a Psar switch. However, when I nibble, I'm trying to get a good average for a possible flush down. If I nibble on this, I need to actually have my stop right above those dots. If my thesis was to enter because the Psar dot switched, then my thesis needs to stay with that and I need to get out if the Psar dots switch again. It doesn't matter what kind of narrative I believe in, what I think about the stock market, my thesis needs to agree. And so we need to be okay with losing 10 to 15% on a given trade if that means that we will save ourselves from 50 to possibly 100% loss, okay? So this was a mistake I made today, and I wouldn't necessarily call it a huge mistake because I was nibbling in. The only mistake I made is I tried to stay with it a little too long, and that's definitely a lesson that I learned because watch this. If you stayed in on calls, and you just had your stop underneath this line right here, we are going to get to a point in time here where this just is really worth your time. So let's just pause though before we go too far and just make sure that we can get, I wonder if I can just drag this down here because we're not going to use that space today. This is a crazy move. I'm going to get my Fibonacci extension levels on here because if we're in here at 9:15, 9:20, we're about right here. We're trying to figure out, is this going to be a melt up kind of a move, or is this going to be a fake up kind of a move. And so if it's going to be a melt up, I want to find out, well, how far is this actually going to go? And so it goes like this. For these extensions, I click on the low of the day, and then I'm actually setting that at the 9:20 time, because you're not going to have your extensions drawing all day long, but 45 minutes into market open is a pretty good idea of how far this might extend. And just watch this. This is actually pretty amazing how this works. Um, so you're in the move and your stop is underneath the 20 EMA. Okay. Maybe you sold, at a certain point and you're trying to figure out, okay, well, when do I possibly get back in? And I'll show you. So my stop is still under the 20 and I didn't get out at all. It's consolidating here. It's trying to figure out what it's really going to do. I'm still in. It's struggling. But very soon we're actually going to see an ascending triangle, and I'll pause and just draw this in here so that if you did get out, there could have been a time where you got back in. Yeah, sorry. This right here, if you can see, I'm drawing this line up here, and I'll just draw right over the top of this fib. It's a lot easier to see these moves when the candles take a full 5 minutes. So I got back in on this today. I was trying to figure out what am I going to do with this play, but this is an ascending triangle. And at this point, I put a stop buy right above this, just knowing that if it got above this line, then I was going to get in and it was going to hit this line. But hopefully you just stayed in from the beginning and you just have your stop in the right place, because it's amazing how this continues to go. So we've got our stop right here, and really our question is, if it's going to get above this fib extension, this 38.2, then it's going to get to over 300 today. Then it's going to get up here to the 0.5. So my stop is still under the 20 EMA. I know that can be hard to hold on to it, but remember, you took your 30% gains early on, so you're playing a free position. Now watch this. As soon as it hit that fib extension up here, and we can try to zoom in, as soon as it hit that, and then we started to see it was checking itself a little bit to figure out if it wanted to even go any further. And it's definitely coming back down at this point. So this right here went all the way up to $6.60. That's a 180% move right up there. And really, you would have known to sell into strength. The ones I bought right here, I sold right there, because I just knew if it got above this, that if I was going to place a sell, instead of having it under the 20 EMA, I would sell it right at that fib extension level. And lo and behold, it starts coming back and retracing. So we are now getting into the afternoon, and we're trying to figure out, is this going to pull back? Is there a put play that we can actually make? And this takes some patience. So you can see that Psar has switched over to puts again. We are very hesitant to buy puts at this point, because it's just been one of those days. So I'm sitting on my hands at this point. This is not a call position. This is not a put position at all. We're watching to figure out what in the world are we going to do. It is now 1:30. We've got about an hour and a half left in our day. And now this time, when I see that two moves have happened here with the Psar switch, now I'm actually starting to look into nibbling a little bit. I can see a lot of it's stalling, it's slowing down a little bit. But there's one thing here that told me that I could find a way to get in if only one particular thing would happen, okay? So, oh man, this happened so fast. I wish I could rewind a lot easier. When this was occurring, you've got all this time in between these candles, and you're trying to, I love triangles. I think these triangles can really tell us what's happening in a particular day. Maybe you were hesitant. Now, if this turned Psar puts, twice here, some people will just buy this blindly because they feel like a double top is in and it's pretty safe. I know today didn't feel like a very safe day to enter into puts. So here's what I did. I drew up the triangle, and it looked like it was going to go up again. It was just crazy what was happening. But what I did is I put a stop buy underneath this. You can see this wick right here. I don't wait until this one over here, because if it gets under this wick right here, then that is a breakdown from that actual wedge. And so on those puts right there, I got in at $1.35. And then we'll try to figure out how far is this really going to move. Okay, and now let's do this though. Oh, by the way, these white ones are inside bars, which I use on other moments in a day. Now that we're in on puts, we're trying to figure out how far is this actually going to pull back. So let's just take those out of there. And if we're going to try to figure out how far this is going to go, here, see if I can even put all of this on the same screen. This is just very interesting here. I'm going to have to pause the video here and get back to it. Okay, so we're in on a put play here, and we've got time in a day, to do this, but I'm pulling up the actual fib retracement right now, because now we actually have our low of the day in, and our high of the day is in, and I want to sell into strength. So I'm watching this and I'm thinking it's probably only going to retrace back to the 23.6. I don't think it's going to pull back to the 38.2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell into strength, plus there's really only an hour left in the day. So let's just zoom in here and watch this particular move. We can actually even turn off these inside bars and just let these candles be what they are. And boom, just like that, we sold into strength. We are out right now. I don't want to count on some move continuing further. I am good with getting in on my puts here and getting out, and that was actually a 30% move from here to here in 15 minutes. So watch what happens after this. Hits that fib level, and it's like that lightning bounce. It just sees this as support and really starts climbing back up. And now we really only have about 30 minutes left in the day. And you could have scalped calls pretty quick right there, but that's always a little dicey, because you can see what happens after this. So we got a play of almost 200% and a play of 30%. It takes patience.